Buffalo gets the victory over the Jets thanks to a game-changing interception by nickel cornerback Taron Johnson. The final 23-20. Welcome into Bills Postgame Live. He's Steve Tasker. I'm Maddy Glab. Steve, this game was tied with just a few minutes left to go. Kicker Taylor Rapp hits a 22-yard field goal to give the Bills the lead, give them the 3-point lead.
Yeah.
And then at the end of this one, the defense finishes it for Buffalo.
Yeah.
Steve, what did you love most about the play calling at the end on both sides of the ball?
Yeah, well, the one you knew they had to get a first down, a minute 52, which is apropos because that's where they were a minute ago, last week as well. They run the ball 3 straight times. The last one to Josh Allen was a brilliant play call. Let Josh in space against a defensive end, use his athleticism, get the first down, and that iced the game. And it was set up by the interception from Taron Johnson deep in the secondary. A lot of guys stepped up. You really felt Taylor Rapp's present back in the lineup after the concussion. You really felt Taron Johnson tonight back in the lineup after his forearm injury. Very ugly night for the penalties. Both teams had 11 penalties for over 200 yards. Each team had, I think the Bills had 95, and the Jets had 110 or something yardage-wise. It was an ugly night that way, but the Bills made it happen because they just made fewer mistakes. 4 missed field goal, a missed field goal and a missed extra point by the Bills, 2 missed field goals by the Jets. An impossible night to kick in, apparently, from here in Buffalo. I don't know, apparently. And sure enough, the Bills get one short enough that Taylor Rapp can drive it through and get it. The first one Taylor Rapp missed was deflected. We saw that later in the replay. The guy got a finger on it. That's why the ugly extra point was actually a deflected kick. So there's that. But this game was a dogfight from the start to finish. The Bills looked like the better team, but they also looked like the team that was going to give it right back to the Jets. And the Jets wouldn't have it. They gave it back to the Bills.
Last week against the Texans, the Bills gave up a game-winning field goal, a 59-yarder that sealed the victory for the Texans. This week, the Bills are able to finish it out on defense. A big difference from Week 5 to Week 6, back in the win column after 2 straight losses. Josh Allen, a big part of tonight's victory. He has a 76% completion percentage, over 200 passing yards, and a 127 passer rating. He's on the podium right now talking to media. Let's send it right over to him.
It's Paul Victor. Called basically our best pass play. Saw a 0, got to a 0 check. They played it well, and I just kind of peeked backside, and there was an opportunity to go get it, so that's what I did. With the way that the last 2 did go, not having James tonight, another crazy game between the Bills and the Jets, just what does it say about the toughness of this team?
Resilient guys. Proud of how Ty and Ray stepped up in the run game today. I thought our guys blocked their tails off in the pass game. I think we got it to quite a few different guys. And first half was very, very good, and we got to find a way in that second half to keep that momentum going. A lot to learn from. Got a little sloppy there at the end. Some penalties, but it was a team win.
Hey Josh, this has been a tough place for you the last couple of years. What does it mean to survive this while you go to 4-2?
It was great. I wanted to come out and play a clean game, get through my reads quickly. I'm not sure what I finished with, but felt like we were pretty efficient on the offensive side of the ball. It's a couple plays that I missed that I went back, that third down to Dalton, overthrew him. There was an in-cut from 0 that I could have thrown, but at the end of the day, all you need to do is score one more point than them.
Is that a buzzword, efficiency, throughout the week? Sort of take what they're giving you, not kind of force things down?
Well, I think coming back to the first game here last year, just getting a little greedy and wasn't trusting what I was seeing. In that second game at home, felt like we got into a rhythm and a little groove and started trusting what I was seeing and just getting through my progressions well. And guys did a good job of getting open tonight and catching the ball and making some plays for us.
What about the effort from Ray Davis tonight? You needed him without James, and he came through with a big performance.
Yeah, it was awesome to see. That's why we drafted him. He's not going to, surprise you with his speed, but he's just so quick in and out of his cuts. He's downhill, and his center of gravity is so low that he's tough to bring down. And he runs the ball super hard, protects the ball. I'm very proud of him for stepping up.
A long pass to him. Is it a running back 45 yards downfield? Was that sort of his scramble rule on that play?
Yeah, I got out. I saw a flag being thrown for defensive holding, and
just felt like I had a free play there and just gave him a shot and he made a play for us.
Things could have gone bad at the end of that second quarter. It was a fumble. You guys recovered it. Then you throw a touchdown.
That was the biggest play of the game. Dalton Kincaid running the ball, Saibo running the ball, and us being able to score a touchdown, I think, on that next play or 2 plays later, whatever it was. But biggest play of the game right there was just our guys out efforting them, and it was that's good to see.
You had issues turning over the ball here at this place. Did you feel like after that play it was, okay, maybe this is going to be different this year here?
Yes and no. Again, I was just trying to take it one play at a time and just, like I said, get through my reads and trust what I was seeing.
Josh, you take them all, as individual games, but division game against them. What's this mean for you guys? We know that's goal number one.
Yeah, our number one goal is to make the playoffs, and you do that by winning your division. So we understand the gravity of this type of game. Us being 4-2, a 2.5 game lead with the head-to-head win, as opposed to being 3-3 and being second place. So big game for us in terms of where it stands in the grand scheme of things. Though it was the next one, and that's why it was the most important. And we'll turn our attention to Sunday.
Josh, what was the mood going into the locker room after that kind of a disastrous end of the half?
Yeah, obviously kind of a gut punch, going in thinking you're going to have a 2-score lead there, and they catch a Hail Mary, which, again, that's part of the game. That's why we play it, and fans love to see those type of plays. And when you're on the opposing side, you're like, this freaking guy, So, again, fighting through adversity, getting in at halftime, regrouping, saying let's just control, one play at a time. We didn't score as many points in that second half as I'd like, but found a way.
Hey, Josh, your first drive tonight seemed like the aggression was there. Eric Wood even said you were like bullied then that very first drive. Was that the mindset this week?
I think so, and that started with our O-line and our running backs. I think even Dalton Kincaid on that, I think it was the second play, putting his shoulder down and going and getting a first down. So that just tells us we were ready to play and that our guys trusted our game plan, and we just were out there executing at a high level.
With a large number of penalties on both sides tonight, was it hard to get into a rhythm, stay in a rhythm? Because it always seemed you were starting, stopping.
Yeah, I think in that second half, just being behind the sticks, 1st and 15, 1st and 20, doing that too many times. We had false starts, legal formations, just stuff that, we need to clean up, and we'll look at the film and take it from there. But ultimately, that's on my shoulders, so I got to be better for us there.
Josh, first game back for Taron, he makes what ends up being the game-sealing interception. After missing those first 4 games, how nice was it to see sort of him have that moment, and how do you describe what he means to this team?
That's great. He's the best nickel in the game, and that's a heck of a play. And we missed him, and I'm glad to have him back on the field doing his thing because he's such a great defensive weapon for us. We feel like he can guard anybody, and again, he just continues to make big plays.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
Quite a big difference for Josh Allen this week compared to the last 2. He has 76% completion percentage against the Jets tonight. Compared to the last 2, he had just a 42% completion percentage. Steve, what was the difference in Allen in this offense tonight?
Well, there's a couple of I thought the pass protection at times was really good, and then there were other times when Josh moved out of the pocket. We saw another big play rolling to his right, throwing it down the field to Ray Davis for the big catch in the first half. That continues to be a weapon. The touchdown to Dawson Knox was also a scramble to his left this time. He's able to buy himself time, but he also had some time to stand in the pocket and make some throws as well. And I thought tonight he was more willing to take the easy completion, the quick, easy throw. I thought Joe Brady gave him some easier routes and some more options. I thought the motion and the shifts were good tonight, although they struggled. There were a couple of illegal formation penalties.
Right.
And that somebody's got to cover up. That's not, they call it on number 79, Spencer Brown. That's not his penalty. He lines up as a tackle. Somebody's got to be outside him on the line of scrimmage. On the second one, there was nobody on that side of the field, let alone a tight end or anybody that was not up on the line of scrimmage covering him up. So there's some issues there with the formation and that kind of thing, some sloppy stuff that we all saw. The penalties were rampant in this game. But that's the difference I saw. Josh took some easy completions, some short ones. You didn't see him push the ball down the field too much tonight either. And that's something I think that's going to come back, and this club's got to get better at, getting some guys down the field and getting some deeper balls down the field.
We heard all week leading up to this game, we need to be on the same page. We need to have collaboration and good communication out there. You saw that on a bunch of plays tonight. One example was in the second quarter when Josh Allen, like you said, scrambled out to his left, and Dawson Knox kept his eyes on Allen, figuring out where he was going to go. Allen hits Knox for a touchdown to give the Bills the 10-point lead. It's about guys being on the same page, and they did that in several different plays.
It's no coincidence it was a veteran guy who did that.
Totally.
You know, Keon Coleman is out there, and Curtis Samuel's a veteran, but he doesn't know Josh that well. Mac Hollins is a veteran, but you know he doesn't know Josh that well. This is a guy who's played with Josh, knows Josh, and gives him and kind of knows how he thinks, and that's really the key. It's not about Josh understanding; it's about the receivers knowing how their quarterback thinks and what he likes, and giving it to him in their route and in their adjustments after the play breaks down. You have to know what he's looking for and give it to him. It's not just going out there and saying, you know, wondering what he's going to do. You got to work hard after the play breaks down. And you know, Dawson Knox has been around here long enough to have seen that movie before.
It's time to get into this week's Player Spotlight. It's presented by Microsoft Surface. Microsoft Surface is the official tablet and sideline technology of the Buffalo Bills. We are highlighting the running back, Ray Davis, the rookie, for the job that he did, stepping in for an injured James Cook. Has 20 attempts for 97 rushing yards, averages 4.9 yards per carry, 3 catches, 55 receiving yards, led the receivers as well. Steve, why do we got to highlight this big performance by Davis?
Because it came through when the Bills needed it most. It wasn't like he just came in off the bench and got a hot hand. They needed him to drive this offense tonight. They needed their offense to be able to run the football against a very salty Jet front. And not only was he able to do that, he's got a quarterback that's stiff-arming guys in the end zone, rolling around to his right, and he makes himself available and makes a really difficult acrobatic catch. I've said this for a little bit, and I don't. It's not easy being a running back in the National Football League, but we've seen it before. The difference between elite guys in the NFL and the guys that are great, and then the guys that are good, and the guys that are mediocre, just guys, is a very narrow band. And it's a handful of plays in a game that separate the elite guys from the guys who are just guys. Ray Davis tonight had an elite night. That last pass play that we saw was a game changer in the first half of the game, a momentum grabber. The team was deep in their own end. He got them out just by staying alive and making an acrobatic catch. The way he played tonight, he played like a veteran player. He finished runs. He set the attitude for the entire offense with the way he ran the ball and finished them.
Davis set the tone from the jump. This is a rookie setting the tone for the rest of the team. He ran physical, he ran angry, he ran with a passion, and the stats show that. Over 150 scrimmage yards in his first game where he was RB1. It was great to see him make such an impact out there. And we'll see what the rest of the season is for him, because he showed, hey, I'm here, I can make plays, and I can do this. Ray Davis was on the podium after this one, so let's get right over to the rookie running back.
Big game as an NFL player.
I felt great. You know, again, having the opportunity to go out there and just play my game and understanding that not things are always going to be perfect, so just taking your time, reading your keys, and just going out there and playing ball. You know, again, I had a great support cast around me, from Josh to the O-line to everybody just doing their job. You know, I would have never had the day I had without the guys blocking on the perimeter, the O-line believing in me and seeing the keys and the reads. So, you know, it's a big shout out to them. I'm happy that I had today, but you know, realistically, it was a collective team effort.
The long pass you caught, can you kind of take us through, that was kind of a crazy play, take us through what you did on that play to get down there?
Yeah, you know, when you got a quarterback like Josh, you know, things can happen. So, you know, just understand staying on the run, staying alive, and just knowing that but Josh can't throw the ball down the field. So once I saw him kind of scrambling, I understand, hey, I got to take it positive and throw my hand up. It was nobody on me. And once I saw him throw it, I missed time to jump terrible, but, you know, I was able to come down with the catch. So, again, when you got a guy like Josh, you got to make him look good, and that was my best attempt to make him look good.
Ray, can you comment on just the physical tone that you felt you and the offensive line set on that first drive? I mean, you're punishing defensive backs on like your first 4 or 5 carries there. It seemed to set a tone for you guys.
Yeah, that was something we really wanted to do. We stressed all week was about going out there and taking it to them. Taking the physicality to them, understanding that maybe some guys may not want to tackle. So it's about just going out there and bringing the physicality, lowering your pads, running behind your pads, and getting those tough yards. Again, 2 to 3 yards may turn into 4 to 5, then it may turn into an explosive play. So just run behind your pads, and that was something that the O-line kept telling me to do.
Ray, Josh ended up getting the first down there on the final play, but what did it mean to you as a rookie getting those first 2 carries, knowing that they trust you in that situation?
It's definitely a confidence boost for myself, but realistically, it's about the guys in my room. James, Ty, Diev, and Frank. Every day those guys continue to push me. Those guys tell me that I'm good at what I do, and just keep the faith and understand that they gave me the ball the first 2 times. It showed that they had a lot of trust and confidence in me. Again, as a running back, that's something that you love. Again, you got to be able to hold the ball and understand getting the first down and put the game away. So I love those guys in my room, and I love our OC for trusting and believing in me.
Whenever you found out that James wasn't going to play tonight, did you guys view that as an opportunity, yourself and Ty?
Yeah, definitely. I think again, it's a next man up mentality, and for us, it's running back by committee today with Ty going in there and playing his game, giving us some great runs. He put us in a great field position to go out there and score, and it's about whenever my turn presented, I have to just do the same thing. We know James is a very explosive running back, and he's really good. So we got to make sure that threshold of again being explosive and providing the offensive spark. Me and James knew we had to keep that up because James wasn't there.
Going into the fourth quarter, what were you guys saying to each other on the side? It's back and forth. What was that moment for you guys?
When you got Josh, who's a great leader, and a lot of support, a lot of guys around there who are great leaders, it's about just keeping our composure, keeping our head up. We knew it was going to be a long game. There was going to be some back and forth, so it's about just going out there and understanding, again, you just got to keep playing. It's a 4-quarter game. As we know, NFL games are very thin. It comes down to the wire, so keeping your head up and understanding that you got to go out there and get this W, man.
We're talking to the cowboy hat.
Yeah, I had to go back to my Nashville days. For me, it was about coming out here and just giving it a little different swag. I made the NFL fit swag last week, so I was like, I got to come out with something different now.
About the intensity being picked up. I know it was your first game against the Jets, but Deion Dawkins talked heading into this week, he knew tensions would be high. Did it feel different, the chirping? There was a lot of back and forth. Did it feel like that intense rivalry?
Not really. I mean, again, this is new for me, so I don't know necessarily the rivalry between the Jets and the Bills. But again, we just have to focus on us and play Bills football, and I think that's what we showed today.
Spent a moment with your uncle after the game. What did that mean to you?
I mean, my uncle's been here. He's been a rock for me. He's been at every game, and there's been a lot of ups and downs for me personally. So being able to just have him there, enjoy that moment, and definitely when I get back to my phone and talk to my family, it's definitely going to be some tears shed because it took a lot to get here. It was a long road, less travel, but at the end of the day, I'm here. I'm blessed, and I got to appreciate every opportunity that I get.
Running back Ray Davis rocking the cowboy hat after a big game, almost 100 rushing yards on the ground, 55 receiving yards. Steve, when you have a running back who's running so physical every single time his hand touches the ball, what does that do for a defense over time as you wear them out?
Yeah, you could see the way he finished it, and some of the DBs later on in the game were thankful he was going out of bounds. Ashton Davis ended up being one-on-one with Ray Davis a couple of times during that game. And on the first run that we've shown a couple of times, he meets him in the hole, hits him, and he's laying on the ground, and Ray's running 7 yards down the field. He gets tackled later on. He broke some tackles, and it was true when I was young in the NFL 40 years ago, and it's still true today. When you get a guy who runs physical and finishes runs, guys over 4 quarters, especially a night like this for the Bills, where they're handing it to him in the fourth quarter. This game is tight. The running game doesn't go anywhere. It's still a part of everything. Guys get tired of tackling the guy. They get tired of the contact. They get tired of the physicality. I heard guys young in my career, when I came in as a Houston Oiler, they used to play with guys with Earl Campbell was on that team. And they said guys just would physically deny a tackle. They didn't want any part of it anymore. They do it early in the game, and Ray was doing it early in the game, and later on, he was finishing runs, and when they needed it most at the end of the game, 2 minutes to go, they had to run it down. 1st and 10, everybody on the planet knew Ray Davis was getting the ball, and it's a 5-yard run up the middle. they were just trying to hope he went down, he stumbled or something. They just didn't bring the physicality like they did early in the game, and it was because he wore them out.
This Jets team was the second best defense in the NFL going into this game. The Bills total 359 yards on them, 33 rushing attempts, 25 passing attempts. Steve, what do you make of the play calling in this one by offensive coordinator Joe Brady?
It was really, I loved it. The Bills showed early on, I thought they were the better team, even in the first half. And then with penalties, missed kicks, missed opportunities, this game, they got back into the game. The Hail Mary at the end of the first half, all of a sudden the Jets are right there. And you feel like, okay, you got to gather yourself and you got to outdistance them. And in the second half, the Jet defense was a little better. The Bills punted a couple of times in this game. So I felt like the Bills were the better team, but it might not show on the scoreboard if they didn't clean up. The penalties started to hamstring their ability to stay on the field offensively. And you knew the Jet offense was going to find it at some point, which they started to late in the game. But I thought, really, when all was said and done, the Bills were the better team tonight by much more than just 3 points. And I think that's something Sean McDermott's really going to have to sit down and talk to this team about. The penalties, the personal foul penalties, the unnecessary roughness penalties. And competitive penalties, like, you know, the defensive holding, and those are kind of competitive fouls. Plus, you know, the roughing the passer call on Aaron Rodgers on Epinesa was a little bit of a ticky-tack call. And there were some ticky-tack calls that went for the Bills as well against the Jets. To me, that's the conversation that they have. Ray Davis did a good job. They didn't turn the football over again tonight. Josh still has not thrown an interception. And Joe Buck and Troy Aikman said it tonight. He's thrown like 6 interceptions. None of them have been caught. Let's just knock on wood and just keep riding that train, because the Bills were the better team tonight, but because of their own shortcomings, I think this was a much closer game than it needed to be.
Buffalo did a nice job in the air, 210 yards through the air. The Jets went into this game as the second best passing defense, only allowing 2 passing touchdowns through 5 weeks. In this game, Josh Allen throws for 2 passing touchdowns. So for the Bills to double what the Jets have allowed, or to match what the Jets have allowed heading into this one, was big to see Allen come back and have that 76% completion percentage after the past 2 weeks, just totaling a 42% completion percentage. We're going to flip it to the defense because they were a huge part of this game. To kick it off, let's hear from nickel cornerback Taron Johnson, who was in the locker room.
That situation at the end of the game, what are you looking for and what did you see before the interception?
They were going kind of fast, and TB kind of made a call, like, kind of spur of the moment, because they were already lined up, and we weren't lined up yet. So he was rushing it, and as soon as he was rushing it, I'm just like, okay, I got to get back to my job, which is to have in that specific call. So just making sure that I got my depth and focus on the quarterback and was able to make a play.
How did you come out of this game physically?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good.
How did you feel the red zone defense in the third quarter? You had a couple stops on them inside the 5. I mean, it seemed to make a huge difference in this game. What was it about those 2 red zone possessions for you guys?
I mean, our red zone defense, I think, was really good. You know what I'm saying? That definitely changed the game. You know what I'm saying? They were moving the ball, but we made some big plays when it came to the red zone, and we held them. They missed some field goals as well.
How much do you need to look at giving up some big plays, too, though?
Oh, I mean, we gave up too many big plays. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like a lot of that was communication, just being on the same page, and that's something we need to get better at.
What did it mean to you to make a big play like that to seal the game after missing some time?
Man, just an opportunity. It's just a blessing, you know what I'm saying? Just a blessing to be able to help the team win. And, yeah, it means a lot. It means a lot, but I'm just happy we got the win.
What did Taylor Rapp do for this defense tonight?
Oh, man, he was playing great. Played out of his mind, you know what I'm saying? Made some huge plays, some huge hits. So I'm happy he's on our team.
What was it about the red zone? Would you say it was different than the rest of the game where, like you said, you gave him some big plays?
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it's easy for a defense to get, like, down on themselves, but it's like we defending every blade of grass. So, and I feel like we did that tonight. You know what I'm saying? But just some stuff we got to clean up. You know, some stuff we got to clean up, but I'm just happy we got the dub.
Thanks, Darren.
Yep.
In the fourth quarter, with just 2 minutes left to go, nickel cornerback Taron Johnson intercepts Aaron Rodgers' pass as the Jets were on their own 40 with the ball moving. Thankfully, that's a game-saving, game-changing play for the Bills defense. Johnson was somebody who's been out the last several weeks with the forearm injury. This was his first game back in the lineup, and here he is making game-changing plays, Steve.
Yeah, this play was great. You really felt the presence of Taylor Rapp and Taron Johnson getting back on the field. Taylor Rapp has been out with a concussion. Taron Johnson, of course, with a forearm. Both those guys made enormous plays in the secondary tonight. Saved a touchdown. Taylor Rapp with a hit in the end zone with Damar Hamlin, and then the pickoff play. And then right before this interception by Taron Johnson, Taylor Rapp made the big play down the middle on a 2nd and 16 where Aaron Rodgers was going to find Garrett Wilson, and Taylor Rapp, or no, it was the tight end, and Taylor Rapp broke it up and set up the 3rd and long, which set up the interception. Taylor Rapp, Taron Johnson back in the lineup really made their presence felt. That's why, last week in a game in Houston when you had 5 starters out, you feel that. And this is the play right there. That was for a first down, and Taylor Rapp comes in and breaks it up. An enormous play, clean hit, perfectly played, and that set up the next play that ended up being the touchdown or the interception for the Bills. Those two guys were huge in this game. Taron Johnson played like his old self. Early on in the game, got caught a little bit one-on-one with Garrett Wilson and got left behind for a second. But next couple of plays in the run game, he showed why he's the most competitive nickel cornerback in the league. Stepped in and made some tackles in the run game. So fantastic to have those two guys back in the lineup. They did make a difference tonight.
With just a few minutes to go in the third quarter, the Jets had 7 plays of at least 20 yards. They were hitting the big play, but the Bills defense settled in the fourth quarter, like you said. Big pass breakups by safety Taylor Rapp, safety Damar Hamlin, and nickel cornerback Taron Johnson. What does that say about a defense's ability to settle in when they really need to?
Well, it's also a little bit about the coaching, too. The coaching staff gets them to settle in, starts giving them better play calls, gets a better handle on what the offense and what they expect from the offense. Everything gets a little better as this game wears on. This coaching staff on the defensive side has been particularly adept at adjusting as the game goes along. Certainly tonight, the Jets went down, scored on their first 2 possessions, went up 10-0. They held them to 10 points the rest of the 3 quarters of the game. And one of those was a Hail Mary right before halftime. Yeah. So the coaching staff has done a very nice job in shutting down the opponent's offense. Once they get a handle on what their thoughts are about what they see in the Bills' defense, then the Bills adjust to that thought, and they've been really good at that. I think that's been one of the most outstanding things about this defensive play calling in this season. Has been Bobby Babbage's ability to really, it gets harder and harder and harder and harder to move the ball on this Bills defense the longer the game goes.
Safety Taylor Rapp was in the locker room after the game. Let's send it right over to him.
Looked like you were frustrated that you just missed finding the ball there.
Yeah. A-Rod kind of threw it low, and I was able to get my hands on it. Hopefully, next time I'll try to catch it clean. But, yeah, you're right.
The way it was going tonight, did you feel like even when you made a play, there might be a flag flying at some point? There's so many.
Yeah, we at the end of the day, we can't control the calls. We can't control what the refs call. So just really keep playing and, next play mentality.
I didn't know if you talked about, I'm sorry, I talked about it, but you're coming back, Taron coming back, making a huge play. What was it like to be back out and then experience a game like this where it came to the end?
Yeah, it's always nice to be back in action. Obviously, Taron back too. So, good to get guys back healthy and the normal defense out there. So it's always good to be back in action.
With all the flags in this game, we're so uneven, so off. To be able to come out as the team on top, what does it say about this team? In terms of keeping your composure and making that one extra play.
Yeah, we're a resilient team. We're gonna always fight to the end. And it's just a testament to the DNA of these guys in the locker room, coaching staff, all the guys in the locker room. Man, we're resilient.
2 big red zone stops in the third quarter. What was different about that spot where it seemed like the rest of the game there obviously were some leaks and some things you had to clean
Yeah, I mean, a game's never going to be perfect. So, all we can do is really head back to the film room tomorrow. We got a short week coming back, playing on Monday night. So just try to clean things up and just try to move forward.
From your vantage point, what happened on the Hail Mary there?
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those kind of in-between calls where we, not sure if they're going to convert to a Hail Mary or, they're going to go for another chunk play. So, just one of those tough calls, situation calls that, we'll get back to the drawing board and we'll be better from it.
Is that something you practice against?
For sure. That's something we definitely practice. It's obviously a tough situation when it's you could do anything to convert to a Hail Mary, and obviously A-Rod, he's got a great arm and able to buy time. So it's tough to be on the long end of that. But obviously all we got to do is just look at how we can get better from that and correct it.
That was safety Taylor Rapp. Another thing the defense did in this game that's an improvement from the last few is their third down defense. The Jets were just 4 of 12 on third down attempts. What did you notice about the defense's ability to stop those big plays on third down? There were some huge opportunities that the Jets had on third down.
I think Big was being successful on first and second. Ton of third and longs tonight for the Jets, and the Bills were able to shut them down. The notable exception is, I know Bills fans were absolutely throwing stuff at their TVs on that Hail Mary right before halftime. What a crusher to put together a half where you really dominated the game and controlled the game, and then to go in at halftime tied or up by 3.
Up by 3,
Up by 3 instead of up by 10. And you're getting the ball coming out. There was a crusher. It was a real crusher. But one of the things about that, the third down defense for the Bills was because they were successful on first and second down. The Jets really still didn't run for very many yards. They had rushing,
121.
121 yards rushing. And I'm telling you, I just thought that the Bills' defense was better on first and second down tonight than they have been maybe in the last month. Certainly in the last 2 weeks, I've thought they were more successful, which is why there was more third and longs, third and mediums. There weren't that many third and really 1 or 2s, it didn't feel like. So your percentages are going to go up. I thought they had a good plan. I thought their pressure package was good. I thought they got enough pressure on Aaron Rodgers. 3 sacks on the night, but more pressures than that. So I think that's where the third down success came from for the Bills defense, was on first and second down.
Rodgers went into this game as one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the NFL with 13 sacks. The Bills add 3 more sacks onto that. They were getting pressure without blitzing. Rodgers is a quarterback this season, at least, when he's blitzed, his passer rating goes down quite a bit. The Bills didn't feel like they needed to blitz a lot in this one. They still got quite a bit of pressure on the quarterback, especially in the second half.
Yeah, and I thought that was crucial, and he was starting to feel it as well. Epinesa had a couple of rushes where it wasn't just a drag down sack. He had like 4 steps to accelerate and run right through Aaron's head, and it took him down. And this sack there by Daquan was an excellent sack as well. Daquan is a big dude, and I thought that was an excellent job by him getting in there, coming through the double team. I thought Epinesa's first sack was brilliant. He did a little stutter step move and a swipe off of the hands of the left tackle and got right in on Aaron's blind side, hit him with a lot of velocity. I know I know he's an old guy for a quarterback, but this sack by Epinesa, he has such acceleration, and he had a chance to get it going before he hit Rodgers in the back. Man, that hurts. I'm telling you, that really hurts. And I think that's going to affect Aaron Rodgers. I said coming in to the season, Aaron is a good player. He's a 40-year-old guy, though, and he's coming off an Achilles. He's not moving. He's not extending plays as we saw him once in Green Bay. And he's got to take, in a 17-game season, he's got to take 1,000 snaps for the Jets. And you saw, and he's the most sacked quarterback at this point of the season. It does not look good for him getting to the end of this season healthy. You saw what happened tonight. We've seen it before. You got knee, the ankle, everything that's happening to him. I thought the pressure that the Bills and the defense put on him tonight was a difference maker.
Rodgers had 294 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns. He's never thrown for over 300 or had more than 3 passing touchdowns in a game against Buffalo in his career. Sean McDermott, Buffalo's head coach, is on the podium. Let's hear what he had to say after this 23-20 victory.
All right. Good division win on the road. 3 games, last 3 games in a row on the road. Thought it was a gritty win. Josh, led by Josh. Offense got off to a good start, established a line of scrimmage early in the game. Ray Davis really stepped up in James's absence. Thought he ran tough, ran physical, protected the ball. Red zone offense, red zone defense, a big difference in the game. And then Taron with a great play at the end, and Taylor Rapp had another great play breaking up the pass in the end zone there. With that, I'll turn it over to you with your questions.
John, it seems, I don't want to speak for the room, but like an uncharacteristic performance by one of your teams. Discipline, situational awareness, things like that. How do you process this right afterwards?
Yeah, we've got a lot to clean up. We've got to be more disciplined. We can't beat ourselves. Situational football, we've got to go back and re-examine the situation at the end of the half with the sideline play. We were defending the sideline with the potential for the field goal, and left a Hail Mary check to a Hail Mary, and so we've got to go back and re-examine that as well. So a lot to clean up, and I got a short week to do it.
Josh had a tough game last week. Rebounds.
Yeah, thank you. Just so it's more. Yeah, sorry.
Tough game for Josh last week. Bounces back with a much better performance. What was the difference from your perspective for him today?
Yeah, number one, when you're able to run the football, it helps. We were able to run the football last week. Don't get me wrong. But coming out the way we did, I think established a line of scrimmage, and Josh was seeing the game. He was seeing their defensive looks and going through his progression, getting the ball out when he needed to, and then he made some loose plays like he always does. And our scramble drill, those are things you don't take for granted when he gets loose, that what we call a scramble drill, the patterns that match up with his and where he's going, his scramble and his mobility in those situations. We got some completions off him as well. So we practiced that this week. Joe did a great job making sure we were getting that in practice this week, and then you saw the execution of it.
Sean, you mentioned Taylor Rapp and Taron Johnson. Just what did they mean to this defense tonight, coming back after?
Yeah, we missed them. We missed them last week. Good to have them both back. They made some big plays for us. We've got some young guys out there playing, and those two are some of our veteran players. And you could tell, excuse me, in the week of practice, you could tell that there was a difference in just the communication and the speed at which we were playing on defense during the week.
How much from your position as coach did you have to kind of handle Deion's emotions and passion? It seemed like it was overflowing at times.
Yeah, definitely. For not just Deion, but just too many penalties overall. And it's hard to win when you've got 11 penalties, 6 of which I believe were either pre-snap or post-whistle penalties, which is not how we handle ourselves. And so we just play football the right way. That takes care of a lot of it.
With Deion, I more meant like the stuff before the game, the history there with this team, the back and forth, even walking off the field, kind of pointing at some of their players. How do you manage that as a coach?
Well, you address it, and you do the best you can. At the end of the day, then he's got to take that and make sure he's thinking of the team first. And those pre-snap, those are pre-snap or post-whistle. Those are non-negotiable. That we don't tolerate that stuff. So we've got to do a better job in that category for sure.
There was a time on the sideline where Josh made it a point to address some players whose emotions were maybe going a little bit overboard, as you're talking about. Is that what you need to see in the leader in Josh Allen?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And not just him, but he carries so much influence when he does things like that, when he's keeping his composure, keeping his head about him. In addition, playing the way he played tonight, that's a sign of a leader, and then you can see the influence that carries. And so, I thought TB does a similar thing on the defensive side. I thought he did some of that tonight, and we need that. That's important. You know, the player-driven leadership is huge.
Sean, we asked about Taylor Rapp kind of going back to training camp with some bumps there and throughout the season as well. Just what's your confidence level in him right now, and what are you seeing during the week that's different from games?
He knows he needs to make those kicks. That's the bottom line. He knows he needs to make those kicks.
Sean, you mentioned the play at the end of the half. That situation, is that something that is decided in the moment, or is that done Thursday? I mean, can you maybe take us through how you're rolling out what you're going to do?
At the end of the day, it didn't work, right? So that's why we have to go back and re-examine it. You know, there's a grid you go through at the end of half or end of game situations based on the time on the clock, the timeouts they have, and you try and put your best defense out there for the situation. Like I said, at the end of the day, they executed better than we did, and so we've got to go back and re-examine, making sure we've got the right number of rushers for that situation, as well as the right number of cover guys, and so that'll be done this week.
Sean, situationally, the end of this game mirrored a lot of what we saw in Houston, where you get the ball back deep in your end, you decide to run it twice this time, actually 3 times this time. After that Houston game, you said this is something we're going to learn from. Did you see it kind of come to fruition in this one?
You know, we did. I mean, sometimes you put in the work and it doesn't, right? But we spent a lot of time this week meeting just from a game operations, game management standpoint, and I thought we handled it extremely well. And then 17 kind of drew that one up, that last play in the dirt a little bit, and he's a heck of a competitor. So.
6.5 minutes in, and we haven't mentioned Ray Davis yet.
I think I mentioned him earlier.
I'm sorry. Well, let's elaborate on the game.
You did right off the top.
The game. All right. Well, the game that he had, and how you were able to deploy him, and when did you know that James Cook wasn't going to be able to go for it?
Yeah, James, I'll give him credit, and Khalil too. You get some guys out there pushing through it. Teams are hurt this time, 6-7 weeks in, whatever it is now, and most guys are playing with things, and Khalil being out there, he wasn't 100%, but appreciate how he was able to get through it and push through for his team, and you could just see it on his face during the week, even though I think he only got a little bit of a few reps on what was our Saturday, I believe, and James got a few reps also. We were planning on working him out before the game, and he just felt like he wasn't going to be able to help the team, and we all respect that. We want him out there. He wants to be out there, and hopefully he can get back for this week.
Sean, on that note,
I'm sorry, I just wanted to follow. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just on Davis, the opening drive especially, 50 yards or whatever he had before he even caught that long pass. What did being able to establish that without James Cook?
You could feel it. You could feel our intent to win the line of scrimmage. You could feel that from our offense, from our offensive line. I mean, it takes 11 guys to run the ball well and run it effectively and run it with an attitude, and those guys, they came out with that and that type of mindset.
just to build on that, the first drive, very physical, Coach. I mean, guys were falling forward every chance. Dalton even had a guy, his play. Is that something you talked about all week leading into this game?
Well, we knew what type of game it was going to be. We knew it was going to be close. They're a good football team. When you've got Aaron Rodgers as a quarterback and a high-level defense, we knew what type of game it was going to be. So, and quite honestly, most of their games have been just like that. Our offense came out and established, like I said, a mindset and a tone, and especially getting the rookie off to a good start. And Ty was in there too. Let's not forget Ty. And so, two guys stepped up in James's absence.
Sean, how would you rate these last 3 road games, and how good will it be to return back home next week?
Well, I think you learn a lot about your team when you go on the road, especially for 3 straight weeks. And we learned a lot about ourselves even tonight, just in this game. So it'll be great to be back home. We can't take that for granted, though, in our preparation. And, again, on a short week, hopefully we get some guys back and put ourselves in position to play a good team at home in Tennessee.
Thank you. Thank you, Sean.
This week's game at the Jets is presented by the BFLO store, the official retailer of the Buffalo Bills. Steve, last week against the Texans, the Bills got the ball back with 25 seconds left to go. The game was tied at 20. They end up giving the ball back to the Texans. The Texans kick a game-winning field goal. In this week's game, the Bills score a field goal, have the lead by 3 points with just a few minutes left to go in the game. They get the ball back with 1 minute and 52 seconds left. Instead of giving the ball back to the Jets, the Bills were able to run out the clock and finish with a victory. That is growth by this team.
Yeah, and it's also executing at a higher level than they were able to do against the Texans as well. The running game was there. Ray Davis on the 1st and 10 at 1:52 left. Ray Davis snaps off a 5-yard run right up inside the guards. I mean, they ran the ball right at the Jet defense for 5 yards. The Jets took the time. They had 3 timeouts, so you knew the Bills were going to have to run. I was telling you, they had to get 6 plays in order to win that game. They had to get and which meant they're going to have to get a first down. So they run that first play, and sure enough, in 1:48, the timeout's taken by the Jets. They come back, run it again, and get a couple down to it's third and 4. So they only get 1 yard on 2nd down. And then, of course, they take the other timeout. So they have 1 timeout left. It's 3rd and 4, and they spread out, put Josh in the shotgun. Josh takes it, pump fakes to the right where all the motion's going, and he bootlegs out against a defensive end in space. Great play call by Joe Brady. Gives a little shimmy. All he has to do is lean for the first down. He gets it. He slides in. The game's over. Those 3 runs, but keyed by Ray Davis's 5-yard run on first down, that made it. And then, of course, putting the ball in the hands of your best player. And that, by the way, you talk about growth, and it is. They put the ball in the hands of their best player last week 3 times in a row, but to throw the football. This time, in the final play, on a 3rd and short, when they had to have it to ice the game, to win the game, they put the ball back in the hands of Josh Allen. This time, he ran it for the first down. No question, every coach on the staff was thinking about last week and the heat Sean McDermott took for the way they handled the last 2 minutes. This week, they executed to a high level and made it happen for the win.
How important is that for a coaching staff to be in a similar situation this week that they were in last week and say, we are not going back there. We're going to do it differently. We're going to do it successfully. They do it successfully, and instead this week it turns into a win.
Well, it's difficult to prepare for these situations. Every game you see is a little bit different. This time they only had 2 timeouts. They had 3 timeouts. Sometimes they only have 1. Sometimes there's 2.5 minutes, and you have the 2-minute warning. And so every game is just a little bit different at the end of game and the clock management. So you do learn from it. And to be honest, that is the criticism that Sean McDermott has had to endure his entire career here in Buffalo. The 13-second playoff game, the Hail Murray in Arizona, the 59-yarder in a rainstorm in Philadelphia last year in overtime, the overtime loss in Tampa Bay in 2020 when Steph Diggs didn't get the pass interference. All these games have to do with close end of game, and certainly the Bills could have won any or all of those games. They would have won the ones they lost if they'd done something different at the end of the game as a coaching staff. They also would have won them if the players would have just played a little better in those situations. But that has been the one criticism of Sean McDermott throughout his entire career. People don't have faith in him to handle that clock management, the timeout stuff at the end of games. He's going to have to prove it to them. This one, it came out and they did exactly what they were supposed to do. It worked out perfectly, even though the other team had 3 timeouts. Sean McDermott has always had that growth mindset. And this has still been, because of last week and games like that, the one thing that people have held against him as being the guy and the guy they're all in with. Well, this is a strike in his favor because they handled the last 2 minutes of this game to perfection and came out with a win in a tough road game in the division.
Against an AFC East opponent.
Against the number 2 defense in all of football.
23-20, the Bills get the dub. They're 4-2 on the season. They remain number 1 in the AFC East. After 3 weeks on the road, the Bills are coming back home next week, a 1 o'clock game against the Tennessee Titans. Steve, what do you want to see them do as we prepare for Week 7?
More of this. I think this is an offense they need to be developed. Their passing game needs to be more well-oiled. Josh is doing he completed 76% of his passes tonight. He's going to have to continue that because the way defenses are playing this team now, they're playing hard, physical, man-to-man coverage. and they're winning some of those battles on the outside. Now, there are some guys running loose once in a while, but they're never, it's never the first guy in the repetition, in the progression. Sometimes it's the third guy, and it takes Josh a minute to get there. The offensive line's got to hold up, but they do need to continue to get the ball out of Josh's hands to guys with some separation. The motion and shifts were a big part of their success tonight. Certainly on the road, it's been difficult to do that for the last 3 weeks. They had a little trouble with it tonight. They had a couple of illegal formation calls against them, penalties tonight. They got to clean that up. That'll be easier at home in Orchard Park, but I think that has to be also a bigger part of what they do when they're at home in Orchard Park. The shifts and motion put the stress on the defense and snap a lot of guys open right out of the gate because the defense is still adjusting to the shifts and the motion. So I look to that to be improved on this coming week and keep getting the ball out of Josh's hands as quickly as possible.
Allen and the receivers look to be on the same page tonight. The communication looked like it was there. Allen was going through his progressions and wasn't hitting on the deep ball every other play. He was finding guys underneath, finding the wide open receiver. And on third down, the Bills were 5 of 11, converting 45% of the time. They went into this game just converting 32% of the time. That's improvement again right there. We want to thank you for tuning into Bills Postgame Live. For Steve Tasker, I'm Maddy Glab. We'll see you all next week.